Hello everyone, I'm Thomas Mendez, and today I am going to present a fascinating study on one of nature's most efficient survivors, which is called the Venus flytrap. This plant is a perfect example of how biological systems obtain and transform energy to grow in environments where most other species will fail. We will explore its unique metabolism, the role of enzymes in its survival, and how it balances photosynthesis with its famous carnivorous diet. So, as I said, I'm Thomas Mendez, and this is for the subject of Introduction to Biology with Dr. Himangi Kalamka. Well, let's start by looking at where this plant lives and how it gets its energy. The Venus flytrap is native to nutrient-poor bogs. In biology, we follow the laws of thermodynamics, which states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. Most plants get everything they need from the soil, but because the soil here lacks nitrogen and phosphorus, the Venus flytrap has adapted. While it still uses sunlight from primary energy, it acts as a predator to get those missing minerals. It transforms the chemical energy stored in the bodies of insects into the building blocks it needs for its own cells. This is a vital adaptation for survival in an environment that is otherwise a biological desert for nutrients. Now, these famous enzymes. So, once the trap closes, the plant begins a complex chemical process. It secretes specialized proteins called enzymes. As we learned in this unit 3, enzymes are biological catalysts that lower the activation energy of a reaction, allowing it to happen so much more faster. So, in the Venus flytrap, these enzymes, specifically proteases, bind to the proteins of the insect at a site called the activate site. They break down the complex prey into simple amino acids that the plant can basically absorb. If these enzymes didn't work properly, perhaps due to a change in the temperature or a change in the pH, the plant then will catch the insects, but it will not be able to digest them, at least properly. So it will literally starve with a full stomach because it could not complete the metabolic pathway needed to move those nutrients into the system. So here we can see a map of how it actually works. Yes? Now, let's talk about the cellular respiration and how it turns food into energy. How does a plant move its traps so fast? Well, it needs a lot of ATP, the universal energy currency of life. This happens through what we call cellular respiration. Inside the plant's cells, the cells of the plant, as we can see in here, this process happens in three main stages. First one is glycolysis in the cytoplasm where glucose is broken down, and then we can move into the mitochondria for the second stage, which is citric acid cycle, which is basically where the electrons are harvested. And then finally the third stage as we that the plant will reach, it's called oxidative phosphorylation. Sorry. Here the plant uses oxygen as a final electron acceptor to produce a massive amount of ATP. This energy is what allows the plant to snap its trap shut in less than a second, a movement that is incredibly expensive in terms of metabolic energy, just like you can see here on the diagram. Now let's move to the famous process of photosynthesis, which basically consists in making food from light. That's how all living things that cannot eat, as a dog can, just like a plant, do in order to feed. So we must remember that the Venus flytrap is still a plant. Despite it can eat some animals, it's a plant. So it creates its own food through photosynthesis. This process happens in two stages. First, the light dependent reactions, and the second one, which is called Calvin cycle. In the light reactions, the plant captures sunlight and splits water molecules like H2O. This splitting is crucial because it provides the electrons needed to keep the energy chain moving. Then, in the Calvin cycle, the plant uses ATP and CO2 to build glucose. This glucose is the fuel that the plant later breaks down in respiration to stay alive. So it's a beautiful cycle of making food and then burning it for energy. Just like we can see on this picture, it takes the sunlight and then transforms into oxygen and glucose. Now, since this is an unique plant that has some uniqueness in it, so it should have its unique survival tricks. Now let's talk about this, the efficiency. So to save energy, the Venus flytrap is very, very selective. It has tiny trigger hairs inside the trap. It won't close if only one hair is touched. It usually requires two touches within 20 seconds. This is a mechanical adaptation to ensure it does not waste its precious ATP on just a falling raindrop or a piece of dust, because it will be very horrible. So by only closing when it's sure of a high protein meal, the plant maintains its metabolic budget. This careful management of energy, combining the power of the sun with the nutrients of the animal kingdom, is what makes the Venus flytrap basically a masterpiece of biological engineering. So, thanks so much for your attention. I'm Thomas Mendez, and I really hope that you enjoyed this presentation about all of the interesting things of the fly trap, which is, as I said, a masterpiece of the biological engineering. Really, because it's an amazing plan. I don't know if I show it, but yes. Basically, the fly trap is this one we can see here. It's this one, and that is also known um, as a predator. Why? Because it eats lots of flies. I guess that was the origin of the name. So thanks again.